Hey everyone, this is Ryder from YoGov and Skip, and I want to give some updates on the EIDL advances for any small businesses or sole proprietors that applied for this. We've been tracking data, so I'm going to do a quick video on what we just published and links to how you can look at this data yourself. It's Saturday, April 25th. I hope you all are doing well and staying home and safe and also, enjoying the weekend as best you can. But let's dive in. So this is on our Skip blog. We just published this. Our whole effort is to uh, help increase transparency for the SBA process. So that's the main reason why we built this tracker for not only loans, but for unemployment and for a whole bunch of other things related to the pandemic, because we obviously want to help as many people as possible. So I'm just going to show you some of the things we've learned, some of the highlights here. But of course, you can go to helloskip.com/blog to see this post. It's the most recent post. But anyway, here are the three takeaways. Okay, so we've helped around 25,000 people track their SBA EIDL advances, which are economic injury disaster loan advances up to $10,000. And this went live on March 29th. So it's been up for almost a month. On April 15th, they stopped accepting new applications. They had around 4 million. Okay, so, but according to the self-reported data that we've seen, 7% of applicants have now received their loan, which is an increase of 3%. 4% over the last week. It was 3% the previous week. So that's good news. I think there was a lot of uncertainty because right around April 15th is when they closed the portal to apply and the funding dried up. And so everyone was nervous that if they hadn't received it by the 15th, they weren't going to until more funding was approved. But it turns out that all of last week, a lot more applications were processed. And of course, this is all self-reported, so there is inherent bias, right? The people who self-track are waiting for their loans, and not everyone who receives self-reports, but we do our best to do follow-ups and obviously get some signal. Our whole point is that some signal is better than nothing here. So, okay, here's what we've seen from 2.9% to 7.2% as of Friday. We expect it to increase this coming week because Congress just passed the new $60 billion for the EIDL. So I'm not sure, but end of next week, we'll update this. But, maybe we're hopeful that it'll be closer to 10%. Okay. Now, this might be obvious to some of you, but you are more likely to have received your EIDL loan if you applied early. So much of these programs are first come, first served. You need to get in quickly. Our data shows this. So basically, if you were among the first million applicants, you had a 15% chance of getting some advance already. And actually, if you were in the first 250,000, that number is 20%. So again, even early applicants may have been disqualified for various reasons. We heard people with extremely low credit, or if you were a franchise, in some cases you weren't approved. So this is the trend we see. If you were in the second million, only 3% of you have actually received something. If you're in the third million or the fourth million, you're on 1%. And this is based on the application number, whether it begins with 3.3 or 3.6. So about 95% of all applicants begin with 3.3 or 3.6. But besides that, the rest of the 8 digits align with the application number. Okay, if you want to figure that out on your own, you can. The third point, the last point, is here's the main difference in what people expected and what people have gotten. Okay, so even though 7.2% of applicants have received something, so that means 93% of you are still waiting. Now, of these 7%, 35% of them have received advances of only $1,000. And the most important thing to note here is that everyone who applied, especially the people in the first week and the second week, expected that they would get the full 10,000 because that is what the language appeared to say. But then on April 13th, the SBA issued guidance saying actually it's 1,000 per employee. So that was the big change. And of course, so even among the people who have been approved, 80% of them are, let's say, disappointed that their expectations were different than what they received. So 80% have not gotten the full 10,000. Flip side is 20% have. And so here's the chart that shows that. Over a third have received 1,000. Over half have received 3,000 or less. So that's, the majority is kind of in that small range, 3,000 or less. One thing we didn't put on this post today, but I will in the next one, is the feedback. Even among these 7.2% of people who have been approved, most people are still frustrated for a number of reasons. The process took too long. The communication was poor from the SBA. They didn't receive any communication from the SBA. And even if they receive something, it's not nearly enough. And it's still unclear what's going to happen with the larger EIDL amounts. So there's still a lot of frustration. Even if you're one of the lucky folks who has received part of the advance, you'll still be frustrated. So we're going to share some of that data. Of course, this is all on our HelloSkip blog. And if you want to track, you can go to helloskip.com/loan tracking, or just helloskip.com. There's a link at the top. You'll get a dashboard like this that has daily updates and information on the progress, overall progress, based on self-reported information. If you've received, you can self-report that you have received and the amount and the comments, and leave any comments. So thanks again for everyone who's self-reporting. It really means so much to all of us to be able to share this, because we've had thousands of questions by email and chat about people wondering what's happening, and this really helps people understand what to expect. So I hope you're doing well, stay safe, and have a good rest of your weekend.